few thousand crosstops. Does anybody know what a crosstop is? They used to be speed, and they had little crosses on them. I found out these were undercover police officers, so we stayed up and crossed about 2,000 or 3,000 saccharin tablets. They looked about the same. And when we sold it to them, I just thought it was hysterical, because it's not illegal to sell sugar, even if you sell it for a lot of money. But people were saying, we better not be found, because when they find out it's sugar, they're not going to be real happy with us. And I said, what can they do? Everybody else kind of left the house. We cleaned out, you know, when you live at a house where people just crash, so we cleaned up all the stuff, we had all the drugs out, and I thought, you know, what can they do? And I stayed there, and they came back. I got beat up pretty bad and then was arrested for paraphernalia. And the paraphernalia was a water pipe. Did anybody have a water pipe in the 70s? We had them as decorations. I don't know why. Even if they didn't. No, but you know, you had some that didn't even work, but you had them sitting on your coffee table. You know, I don't know why in the 70s people just had that kind of stuff. Even if they didn't work, you would see water. You would see these everywhere. But I got arrested for paraphernalia. And when I got to the police station, I got bailed out, and I got bailed out by this guy. He was an attorney, and the attorney. What surprised me is when I walked out, if you and I were running on the street and I get arrested, you're not going to use your money to bail me out. I'll see you when you get out, and I love you. You know, I love you. Look me up. But you're not going to use your money to bail me out. It's just, and I didn't expect people to. I mean, it wasn't something that people did for each other. And so when I got bailed out, it surprised me. And when I walked out and it was this nice-looking grandfather-like attorney, I was surprised. And he said to me, I heard what happened to you, and I'm outraged. And I got beat up pretty bad. I mean, when they came back not happy that they got sold sugar tablets, because they were, we just got beat up. They tore the house apart. This attorney said, I heard about that. We're going to sue the city. We're going to sue the apartment building for letting them in. We're going to sue everybody, and you're going to make millions. And I'm like, really? How fun is that? And so then we go to his office, and he has an office in Newport Beach, and it's beautiful. I have never been in a home that is nice as this office. Had a secretary, had, you know, bookshelves, you know, all made out of, you know, wood and oak, just beautiful. And I'm thinking, how fun. They took pictures of all the bruises, and we're going to sue them. And as I'm getting ready to leave, he said, do you need any money? And I said, yes. And he says, well, you know, how much do you need? And my first thing is, okay, what's the deal here? Because why would you give me money? And he said, well, we've got this lawsuit, and I will just take all the money I give you. When the lawsuit comes through, I'll take that money off, and I'll get my money back. But if you need money until then, just ask me. So I said, $300. And he handed it to me. And I thought, I love this. I love this. And I started calling him up, and whenever I would call him up, he would give me money. And I don't know how long it lasted, because when you're a druggie, time just makes no sense. You know what I mean? I don't know how long of a time period it went, but he called me up one day and said, I'm sorry, but the lawsuit is falling apart. We cannot sue them, and I just wanted to tell you I'm really sorry. But by that time, I was so dependent on him for money. I wasn't doing a lot of other things because he just so easily gave me money. That I said, well, you know, how am I going to, you know, whatever I was wanting the money for, how am I going to get this money? And he said, well, I have a way for you to make money. And he had the largest child prostitution ring in Newport Beach. And I got to tell you, just because I don't know if people understand what that means, that they have a beautiful home in a residential area in Newport Beach. And judges come, legislators come, business people come to this home, and in the home are children. And it's a big business. And I remember just freaking out, because I'm thinking, is anybody normal? Is anybody real on this planet? And I just started, I mean, it just got to me that, you know, I just didn't see that. I remember just going, I never got into prostitution even with that. He put me in the house, people came over, I started screaming, had a fit, they kicked me out, and I hitchhiked back home. I never met anybody. Some dancers that I work with would kill themselves, and the guy that owned the club would just say, who's going to cover her shit? And I remember just thinking, who's going to cover her shit? You know, is anybody even going to just say that they're sad that she killed herself? You know, is anybody going to say that, you know, it's a shame that she's dead? And I just remember just getting to the point where I just needed more and more drugs because I couldn't keep doing that. There was a point that we did a drug deal in San Francisco and flew to San Francisco. My job was to check the luggage in. I never even understood that that was, does anybody understand that that's not a good job to have? So no matter if there's drugs or money in the luggage, both are illegal. If you go to the airport and you have $50,000 in a suitcase and you don't have a job, it's illegal. And so they would say stuff like, Cherie, I'm going to go park the car, can you check in the luggage? And I would just be so happy to be part of the group, I would check it in, you know. We went to San Francisco. We were selling 7 pounds of cocaine to a group in San Francisco on the top floor of a restaurant, right? People were eating downstairs. The owner is part of our group selling and buying these drugs of the restaurant. And I want to grab somebody downstairs and say, I want you to come upstairs, because we had pounds of cocaine on the table. We had scales, we had chemicals, we had money, we had people testing to see if the drug was good or not good, and all that kind of stuff. And people were having anniversary parties downstairs, and I just couldn't stand it. I've been freebasing for 5 days, so you gotta just imagine that. I've been up for 5 days, I've been high. I want somebody to be normal, and the restaurant owner is kind of shaking our hand. Would you like to have a meal? And I'm like, we are drug dealers. What is wrong with you? You know, and even when we do find somebody decides that they're going to eat, then we say, did we tip you? Did we give you Coke or some money? I mean, what do you want for a tip? You know, and I'm thinking, I just want to get home. We did the deal. I had $67,000 cash in a suitcase. I had $11,000 in another area. We get back to this house that I'm staying in. The person that funds the drugs, who's an attorney, does not do drugs at all, but that's how he makes the majority of his money. So the money now is going to go back to him, right? But I have been out for days and days and days. So we do a little bit of business in the house, because everybody's waiting for us. We're the drug dealers. You're real popular as a drug dealer. And so we do a little business in the house, and then I go and crash. And when you've been up for 5 days, when you are when you're drugged out, or you've been freebasing for that long, when I say crash, it's not like you walk in and fall asleep. You literally almost, it feels like a death. You're going to be in bed for 3 or 4 days, you know. And so I crash. I get woke up a few hours after I fall asleep to somebody with a gun in my face screaming, I'm going to blow your head off, nobody steals from me. And he's screaming and cussing, and I've been in bed for, you know what, just a couple hours. I don't want to get up. I can't even hardly understand what you're saying, other than I know that there's a crazy guy in front of me, and he's screaming, and I realize he's got a gun to my face. And I'm thinking, man, he's not going to throw down a mattress. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, I felt so much peace, because I thought, you know what? I've been trying to do this my whole life.